Who can guess what I am? Any ideas? How do I look to you? Jerry. Like a man in a leather jacket. That's a very pragmatic answer. I like that. That's good. Thank you. How about you, Nutella?
Man who's hiding his eyes from us.
I'm definitely hiding something. Definitely. Graham? What do I look like? Okay, I got a really nice crowd here. Usually I'm called hoodlum, gangster, rapper. How about you, Richard?
Well, I was thinking, because you covered your eyes and the way you got your hat, I'm thinking drug dealer. You don't want to be that.
That's better. That's what I'm going for. Thank you. Bear with me one sec. Thank you, lovely. Oop. Thank you. Okay. Who can guess what I am now? How do I look to you now? Sorry, Lada? A handsome guy. Oh, thank you so much. Okay, show's over. I'm happy. Okay. Yeah, you're all, doing what's normal, projecting your perspective on another person. The truth is I'm human, and we're all human in reality. And before I introduce myself, I'd like to make clear in one way or another, I'm here to alter your perspective for the better. In this case, it can be as simple as to understand that underneath it all, underneath the clothes, underneath the titles, we're all human. All of us, we're all human. And I know I don't need to remind you of that after the last speaker, which made a serious impact on me. I'm sure it did the same for you. But we're all human. And I want to make sure that everyone understands perspective will make life better. So thank you for coming. You must have nerves of steel to make it through that kind of ice. You've got to be cold as ice. Everyone here needs to be solid in their commitment to come here. I know, I'm speaking for myself. It was cold, it was far. I had to make it here. We're human. So my name is Matthew Ferguson, and over the course of my life, I've developed a number of skills that can uplift anyone with a simple conversation. Through my perspective of improvement and my constant action to make life better, I've finally achieved a state of life that brings me an immense amount of joy. I have a new career as a branding partners manager for a production called Drive Me Crazy. I'm launching this speaking business. My daughter Sophia lives with me and my beautiful, pleasant partner Taryn, that you all got to see witness passing my jacket. Yeah, she makes me fumble often. So what does it matter to you? I'm telling you about myself to impart some evidence that what I want to share with you works, and it works well. To drive my point home, I want to ask just a couple questions. They may seem irrelevant for now, but why are you here?
To support a really good friend.
That's a very good answer, thank you. One more. Why are you here, Lewis?
Yeah, to support them.
Right. Essentially, to make your relationships better. Now, no matter how you slice that, that's the best way to make life better. To make sure that the person next to you and in your life understands you're there for them. That's a great perspective to have. So, thank you, and thank you. I'm sure your inviter really appreciates that. So I want you to fully believe that perspective will make life better. I also want you to fully believe in the CIA. Just ignore this for now. Everybody can do that. I know we all do it every day. I've lived a unique life, and so have you. I know it's a bit of an oxymoron, but it's true. I've lived an extremely unique life, and so have each one of you. So I am uniquely qualified to make life better for anyone. And so are you. So that's not saying something major, but I want to drive that home. And to do that, I want you to believe in CIA. And that stands for continuously improving actions. Actions include everything from how you make a snap judgment, how you decide to leave your house, and any other such example that you can think of on your own. I want to share my perspective of improvement with you. The definition can be looked up in a dictionary, but to illustrate one of the better tools of improvement we have available to us, I'll use a phone, if that's all right with all of you. Bear with me while I check my texts. Turn up the volume. Improved definition.
Reprove, reprimand, or censure someone.
Improved definition.
Improve, make, or become better.
Right. Make or become better. Now, to give you some contrast and a better understanding of what it is I'm trying to drive home here, I'm going to say a phrase and then an antonym to improve. The phrase is a state of degradation. The antonym is debase. Debase definition.
Debase, reduce something in quality or value, degrade.
Right. So state of degradation. And to debase someone is to do a very big disservice to them. You are not improving anything when you're in that state of degradation. So for me, improvement is everything. It is the end-all, be-all, period. There's nothing better than improvement in any area, in any capacity. So to share some PTSD with you, when I was a 10-year-old boy, I was an extremely unhealthy kid. I had allergies, hay fever, asthma. I was 40 pounds underweight. I could barely run across a yard without needing an emergency inhaler. That's okay. Trust me, it made me a stronger person. So, you know, if you can imagine, you know, this pale, gaunt, skinny little 10-year-old boy at school looking at all the other kids, it was safe to say that, you know, especially with the weather out behind us, playing in all the reindeer games was out of the question. I didn't have a red nose, so it was even more pathetic. But one day at my parents' friend's house on the weekend, now to give you a little context, my parents' friends were very rough individuals. I mean, they'd have to be in order to produce a kid looks like me. So I was at my parents' friend's house, and we decided to let me play in the yard, which was very normal, and I ran across the yard. Today was different because there was one of their friends sitting outside watching me. And he watched me take 10 steps and basically collapse on the ground and whip out my inhaler and go, and then get up to try and do it again. And he was doing one of these things. He's a very intense guy. We're going to call him a wise Frenchman because there's no other nice way to put it. And so this rather intense wise Frenchman pulled me aside and said, "That can't happen anymore. Run every single day." And I mean, he was intense. He basically had me there. Run every day until your legs, your lungs feel like they're bleeding, burning, and failing you. And then keep running. And he said, do this every day. And I mean, he didn't say anything about breathing room. I didn't learn that lesson until much later. But I mean, he was intense, so I took it to heart. And I also thought, you know, wow, playing the sports with the other kids at school would be great. But you know what? Getting home on time to watch my cartoons without, you know, catching the last half, that'd be even better. To start my cartoons right after school? Yeah. So I went home, and I thought about it, and I went, you know, I'm only 3 blocks away from school. So Monday, I got to the fence, the edge of the schoolyard, and I'm like, that's it, I'm the Flash. I'm gonna make it all the way home the first day. Sure enough, 10 steps, I hit the ground, and I needed that inhaler. I know it sounds sad, but really that was great, because I got to know where I stopped. I got to know where my limit was. The next day, I did the same thing. I didn't even think about it. I didn't have any, you know, this is going to be too hard. My whole life was hard, so what did it matter to me to keep trying? So and from that perspective of what would it matter to go and kill myself to see if this would work, was actually the best train of thought I could have. I kept going, maybe another half block, before I hit the ground and needed my inhaler. But the point was I made it further. And I did that every single day without fail for at least 2 weeks before I made it home. Just 3 blocks. And in my mind, this was a miracle. I had done something that doctors told me I wouldn't do, that my friends had, well, what friends? You know, no belief in me whatsoever to be able to accomplish running across a field, let alone home. So I was hooked. I was absolutely hooked on improvement. So I ended up translating this to other areas of my life, communication, my looks, of course, and other, you know, anything in between that someone can come across. But the important thing to get here is that over life, we're going to get a few challenges thrown at us, whether they're in our cards from the beginning or they come later. Usually they can come in the form of your closest relationships or behaviors you begin to, express. So with some mutually failed perspectives among my family, my past significant others, this left me craving escape. Anything from video games, which I can justify even today, alcohol consumption, which I no longer touch, and drugs, which was a very weird touch-and-go subject for me because while I thought it was an extremely terrible thing, it was literally the only thing that seemed interesting. So over time, mutually failed perspectives will harm your life, will harm your relationships, will harm your behaviors. It goes without say. So even while simply entertaining a negative conversation, I found that I could not improve in anything. I couldn't improve my mindset, couldn't improve my body, definitely wouldn't eat if I was talking to someone whining all day. Keep in mind I'm sharing some PTSD with you, and I'll get to that in a minute because it's actually not a big deal. But a failed perspective will always lead to a state of degradation in some form or another. Your perspective on life will generally shape your thoughts, your actions, your behaviors, and the general state of life, let alone your relationships and how people receive you. So, I said I was going to share with you PTSD. No, I don't mean post-traumatic stress disorder. I actually mean that perspective transforms something daily. And that is an ultimate truth I've found over the 20 years I've been paying attention to my perspective and how it affects my life and those around me. PTSD is not some grand thing I came up with over the course of my life. It is, though, the culmination of everything I've observed. And I came up with it last week, so I hope you like it. Not too long ago, I started a family. I have a 7-year-old daughter now. Her name is Sophia. And when my family broke up, I went right back into that state of degradation. And in that state, I reconnected with a cousin who was, for lack of a better term, everything but improvement. He was the pinnacle definition of a state of degradation. The funny thing is we're both the same height, we're both the same size, roughly. We have the same intellect, we have the same hearts. We care about people immensely. Difference between us is he chose his comforts, whereas I chose suffering through improvement. And now, he's 33, I'm 29. It's a sad case. Comparing is not something I ever suggest anyone do, but it's going to happen no matter what. And when you stick him next to me, it's a sad, sad situation and a big eye-opener that your perspective is going to affect you and everyone around you. Because, he's terrible to be around. Just terrible. So we're both tortured souls a million ways left and right, and from what I understand, he's still very miserable, whereas I am not. The reason I am not is that he chose alcohol and self-pity, whereas I chose to follow DDP. I don't mean Diamond Dallas Page. I mean desire, determination, and persistence. You could put me next to a definition in any one of those words. So me and my cousin, we both had a very huge desire to make life better. It was all-encompassing in any one of our conversations. For most of my life, I spent the bulk of my time focusing on the fact that DDP enforces PTSD. I do not mean Diamond Dallas Page enforces post-traumatic stress disorder. I believe that desire, determination, and persistence helps solidify the fact that perspective transforms something daily. I mean, this translates to an underlying force, monitoring and policing our every aspect of life. I want you to join this not-so-secret service. You remember CIA? That's a secret service that anyone can join. It's not so secret. Continuously improving actions will make your life better. So to reiterate, pretty sure. Yep, awesome. See, my better half at work. Continuously improving actions. It takes this to a T. Desire, determination, and persistence. Because the fact is, perspective transforms something daily. And if you can see the perspective of improvement, then you have a pretty good blueprint on how you're going to make your life better at any given stage in any given area. Period. Because I said that's the end-all be-all. Improvement. Period. So I just want everyone to take one moment with me to reflect. It's going to get a little cliche, so please quiet your mind, still your body. Good job, you're all doing great at that. Imagine a world where everyone is focused on bettering themselves, committed to improvement, and can see the things, people, and places with compassion, tenacity, empathy, and ambition. Imagine a world where everyone practices all of our better qualities, all the time. Would that not make life better? What do you think? If everyone was focused on improvement and practicing their best qualities, do you think that would make life better?
Absolutely.
For yourself and for everyone? Definitely. And that's my core belief. And I want you to believe that too. I want us all, myself included, all of us, to make improvement our focus, to view things in a powerful yet understanding way. I want us to commit, to truly commit about caring about ourselves and those around us. Because our peers are going to affect our future. It goes without saying that we're going to affect our futures. We either are, aren't, or going to put it in the crapper. Improvement and perspective are the keys that are going to help you along. When you go home tonight and begin your usual what have you, just take a minute to think about what needs improving in your life. Do this anytime you go to sit down and make that thinking habit. Doing this consistently will be enough to start shifting your perspective. Of course, that's just the bare minimum, and we all know that CIA is anything but minimal. Right? They do big things, especially when you're continuously improving your actions. Thank you for being so attentive. Thank you for coming to see me and the other great speakers we have here tonight. And I want to especially thank you for deciding to make life better and to remind you you've chosen to come here to support someone. That is making life better. So thank you for that. It's been a pleasure to serve you all. And in true Canadian light, take care, eh? Very good. Thank you.